I chose art as my topic. The piece of artwork and subject for this project I've chosen is Epics in Plains history, Mother Earth, Father Sun, and the children themselves. An epic is an event or a time marked by an event that begins a new period or development. It was painted by T.C. Cannon, who is a native artist from 1976 to 1977. It is a 20-foot by 8-foot mural of oil on canvas. It is regarded as Cannon's most monumental work, completed only 1 year before his untimely death. More on T.C. Cannon here, whose birth name is Tommy Wayne Cannon. His Indian name, Pai Dungade, means one who stands in the sun. He was born on September 7, 1946 in Layton, Oklahoma. He died young at 31 on May 8, 1978 in a car accident in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He was a member of the Kiowa Indian Tribe of Oklahoma. He attended and graduated from the Institute of American Indian Arts. Shortly after his graduation, he enlisted in the Army. He served in Vietnam as a paratrooper from 1967 to 1968, where he earned 2 Bronze Star medals for his service in the Tet Offensive. They are awarded for heroic achievements and services. It was in Vietnam when Cannon had a major breakthrough in his art career. He was always conflicted about his experience overseas, evident by his poetry, letters, and art shortly after serving. His changing views about America's violent history began to find expression through his artwork. Moving on to the history of this amazing mural. He was commissioned by Seattle to paint this epic piece of artwork. The mural takes the viewer through both religious and social epics of the Southern Plains indigenous people. This is T.C. Cannon's explanation of the story while looking at it a little closer. Starting from the left edge, the painting is dark, partially lit by a 100-mile prairie fire and an ancient moon under which triumphs a small clan of old people. They are lost in darkness and superstition, but their land before them is lit by a holy light, emanating from the large figure of Mother Earth throwing out gifts of buffalo and medicine. The right side of the panel contains 3 major figures, the first being a sun dancer, the second a Kiowa Peyote man, and the third a gourd dancer who dances off the panel's right edge. Next, into the function and context. The function of this enormous painting is to attract the viewer's eyes to several different parts of the piece through the use of color and contrast, which I'll get into in just a bit. The epics are within the picture, and the differences in the light help articulate which story is which. This is also bringing awareness to his indigenous culture, like most of his other paintings as well. Pictured top right is another painting of his, who 2 guns Arikara. It loosely depicts a Kiowa soldier. It not only shows his culture, but tackles other topics such as the struggle of clashing identities as many Native American people have. As far as the impact on me, I was actually struggling to decide which of Cannon's artworks to use. None of them really stood out on the list I was seeing, so I had to dig a little deeper. I started looking for articles to find other commissioned artworks and came across epics. As soon as I saw it, I knew this was the piece I was going to use for my project. Yes, it was a little difficult to get information on and about the piece, but putting in the work was what I had to do if I really wanted to understand what it all meant and how it affected me. The technical components of art are called the elements of art, which are shown before you. These 7 elements are the baseline for every drawing or painting. Whichever way these 7 are used determines what kind of style the piece is. Once you have the basics down, that's when the artist can start experimenting and changing these elements to suit their personal style, as Cannon had been doing in the height of his career right before he unfortunately died. I'm going to show you the piece again as I talk about these elements so everyone can see a bit more clearly what I'm talking about. Now, granted, this is only a photo of the mural, so some of these smaller details would have been much clearer if you were able to see it in real life. However, you are still able to see the overall picture and understand the story he is telling. This piece of art has very vibrant colors and strong value as seen with the contrast of colors and how pigmented they are. The texture is not what we would typically think of, but for his style of painting, this is normal, as seen in the land and the fire. The lines are thin but visible, and the shapes accurately depict what they are showing, a story. These different figures of different times, styles, and situations show the movement over time. On to more details. To quote Harvard Magazine, this mural reveals moonlit early tribespeople in animal skins, bison, and hieroglyphics, a shamanistic bare-breasted woman with an owl and an eagle in flight, and finally a Native American in a Stetson standing on a swath of green grass under a sun rendered as a woven textile. Over the semester, we looked at several different mediums to learn how to address the class themes. This particular piece of artwork best represents the themes cultural identity and survivance. Cultural identity is what a person considers their own personal culture to be. This is represented through his choice of using the history of the Plains indigenous people. Cannon could have chosen from any number of cultures, but he specifically chose that because he is of Plains ancestry. The Kiowa Indian tribe of Oklahoma are indigenous people of the Great Plains. In the 17th and 18th centuries, they migrated south from western Montana into the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Eventually, they made it to the southern plains by the early 19th century. The Kiowa were finally moved onto a reservation in southwestern Oklahoma in 1867. There were 12,000 members within the tribe as of 2011. Survivance is when someone or a community is suffering but finds a way through to survive. This is shown through the events depicted within the painting. The Kiowa have very extensive history along with most Native American tribes. Their religious beliefs also play a part into their survivance. As I mentioned before, Cannon explains that the left side of the painting, the first epic, is lit by a holy light. I am not sure what the specifics are, but eventually they were here and Mother Earth gifts them with the food and resources that are able to sustain them for decades. Time moves on, and now we are in today's time and culture with the woven textile sun, dancers, and warrior. This culture and tribe survived years and years of challenges to come to right now. The mural shows the history of the Plains people throughout time. It's obviously not everything and not exactly what they went through, but viewers are still able to deduce what someone or some community survived through everything in the painting, and then some. By showing a select few individual events, we can see that they survived the greatest past challenges in order to keep thriving for decades to come.